Welcome back to the Cheer Athlete, everyone. Today I have with me Kamryn Brooks from Ohio, and Kamryn is a nutrition coach. And I'm excited to talk to you, Kamryn, today about uh, nutrition and all that encompasses as far as cheer athletes and athletes in general.
Yes, I'm
Thank
so
you for
excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a nutrition coach and why you're focusing on nutrition in school.
So I've always been an athlete. I played softball since I was little, competitively traveling all over really the Eastern United States, I guess. And I always felt that nutrition was something that was missing. We never got taught much in school other than like a week-long topic in health class. And I want to help empower athletes to feel good and feel confident in themselves and help them learn how to feel properly and also get the most out of their bodies in their strength training, their practices, their performance, and really even their day-to-day life. And then also want to help people focus not just on nutrition, but like the overall picture and the holistic wellness, because if you're focused on one thing, you have to focus on the other. But I went into nutrition really the same reason. I just felt like I didn't know much, and it's something that should be common knowledge at this point. And there's so much information out there that it's hard to learn what's right and what's wrong. And when something as important as nutrition should not be overcomplicated like that. And I just want to help athletes to reach their goals, really.
It's a good goal on your end.
Thank you.
There's so much. You're right. There's so much varying advice about what people should eat and nutrition in general. And I think even just getting into the basics is a good starting point for the majority of people. So, but building from that too, and knowing why. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
What areas do you find that athletes in general struggle with as far as their nutrition goes?
I think especially with high school athletes, they're more than likely underfueling because they have school all day. You hear a lot of them, and this isn't even just athletes, this is high school kids in general. They don't, a lot of them don't eat breakfast, or if they do, it might be a Pop-Tart or cereal, something that probably has a lot of sugar in it, which it's most likely not the best, but at least they're eating something. And then some kids don't even eat the school lunch or they don't pack anything and they might snack on something. So I think if they prioritize just getting a little bit more food throughout the day, they'll feel more energy in their school day, let alone in their practices and games after school, and they'll just feel better. So yeah, they definitely need adequate energy to get through their
Yeah.
activities.
I can think back to, and I'm sure you have the same thing, like back when I was in high school and college, so I grew up with a mom who was like very focused on nutrition, because she had MS, and she chose not to do any medical group, but she went all these like crazy, I call them crazy diets, but my mom is still alive today and still functioning today on her own. And, although she's now older and struggling with that, um, all growing up, she was like, for me, a pioneer into, uh, you more organic food and general healthier eating life, like encompassing lifestyle, macrobiotic and organic and all kinds of stuff. And I don't think, I mean, I do choose to eat organic, but I don't think that's necessarily, I'd rather see somebody just have vegetables as opposed to Pop-Tarts and whatnot in general.
Yes.
Because when I look back at when I was cheering both high school and college, like you're right, like my lunch in high school involved tater tots and maybe I love those strawberry shortcake
Mhm.
bars, and that's all sugar. And so then how do you have the energy to get through your day? And same in college, like I lived on Diet Coke and Reese's peanut butter cups. And, how in the, how could I have been a better athlete had I been actually fueling my body with something a little bit more nutritious than a Reese's peanut butter cup, which I still love, but
I was in the exact same boat. Like I normally didn't eat breakfast. I didn't feel hungry in the morning, and I'd probably snack on some granola bars throughout the day. And then the school lunch was, I mean, the school lunch is a whole nother topic.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
So can you, athletes in general, whether high school, college, and I'm directing more towards college because I can remember when we would go on road trips and we would stop at McDonald's all the time. And I know like cheer athletes today, they are always in the airport going, there's a big competition down in Florida this week in the summit. And so it's always on the go. They're like rarely home. And then we put in practice, they're coming from school, going to practice and having to grab something. Can you give any tips for how to make a little bit better food choices or get some food in when they're on the go all the time for athletes that are on the go all the time?
Yeah, so I would say prepare as much as you can ahead of time by packing snacks like granola bars or protein bars, and then even like those little the go-go squeeze like applesauce things, and just protein snacks, just and nuts and berries, fruits, all that to try and get you through the day. Obviously, eating real meals at the same time too. But if you can prepare and keep those with you, then you'll be pretty good probably through travel days, especially, and then even snacking like leading up to the games or competitions. And then I would say control what you can. So chances are if you're traveling with your team, you're probably getting breakfast at the hotel. And although it's not the most glamorous breakfast, they do have eggs, sausage. Although it's not like the best protein, it's still a protein, or yogurt. And like I said, you can have your own protein bars. And I would think at a lot of schools nowadays, they have snacks for athletes like that. And I know most are trying to get to a point. Obviously, some are not as um, aren't as well off, but it's
Yes,
still
yes,
in progress. So
yeah.
I think control what you can and choose the healthy options when available. And then, like you said, they go to fast food restaurants a lot. I'd say there's really not a whole lot you can do with that. You're kind of stuck with what you got, but just try to make the best whole food options where you can. So if you go to Chick-fil-A, they have grilled chicken wraps, grilled chicken sandwich. They have little side salads you can get, and getting that kind of energy instead of something that's super processed help you feel will help you have a more sustained energy. You won't hit a crash or feel as bloated and sluggish. And then I would say for athletes on the go, try to prioritize sleep best you can. It's hard to get that, um, especially if you are on a plane and sleeping away from home, but just try to sleep as much as you can because that's important for their recovery and their energy. And it also affects the types of foods they might gravitate to. If you're lacking sleep, a lot of times you'll crave more sugary dessert type foods.
Those are great tips. Yeah. And I forget because I will be like, oh, eat your chicken and vegetables. And like, I forget that it's not, I don't have children myself. I've got nieces and nephews, and I know my own cheer athletes from before, like they don't always eat chicken and vegetables or, protein, because that's just the age and whatnot, especially the youth. And so those, like having those to go, planning them, and getting something like the squeeze things. Like I forget they have those in the sound, and then the Chick-fil-A. That's a great tip, like because there are, we think of McDonald's as the Big Mac and fries, or Chick-fil-A. I don't do Chick-fil-A a lot myself, but I someone came into the office one time and had like this like double fried thing, and like you don't have to choose the fried
Yeah.
options, and if you get good sleep, you're more likely to recognize, okay, I'm going to have a grilled salad or sandwich or whatever. And the wraps are awesome choice because they're going to get you some vegetables in there too. So those are great. And you're right. Sleep is a big,
Yeah.
factor.
I would also say that like having your teammates or the coaches encourage this too, as like almost accountability buddies is another huge thing. Because if you're doing it together, you're more likely to make
Absolutely.
a choice.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then sorry, I forgot to add this in, but for high school athletes especially, like there's been research done showing that high schoolers and teens typically get like about 25% of their energy for the day just from snacking. So And a lot of times you think like chips, Cheetos, pretzels, stuff like that. But if we could make those healthier changes to even having like pretzels and stuff is fine. But if you pair it with some like deli turkey and walk, that creates like a balanced snack to help you feel um fueled and energized. So just making those healthier swaps that are still good and everything.
Yeah. Um, cheer, I'm sure it's across the board, but because I focus on cheer athletes, we tend to have, uh, there's a big problem. Well, hopefully it's better now, but I think there has been a problem with eating disorders and weight management. And this is definitely a problem. Like, because if you want to be a flyer, you have to weigh a certain amount. And there's, even back when I was cheering, we had weigh-ins. And I don't think my coach, I think it was just a thing and more just to keep us on point and trying to get us to, be accountable for where we were at. But because of that, sometimes I think that we develop eating disorders. And I know myself, I would take no dose so I would be awake and not feel like I had to eat anything. And I won't say I developed a problem. I think it was a intermittent issue
Yeah.
that I wish I had done differently at the time, but I do think that there are a lot of problems. So, how because I think food is fuel and we need to need that protein and the healthy fat and and the we do need to eat carbohydrates. Um, so can you give us any advice for how to kind of maintain a healthy weight at the same time as understanding like it's not about we hopefully we focus more on the health and nutrition as opposed to the aesthetics of it. But in order to be strong, we need to have food. Can you touch on that a little bit and like why we need to actually eat and not do things that are going to make us purge?
Yeah, so especially when you're an athlete, like you're obviously using up a lot of energy and depleting those muscle stores that you have. So that's why it's important to fuel around the clock. But when looking at weight management, you really want to focus on just getting whole foods and not getting as much processed food. That's probably the biggest thing because there's extra calories, extra trans fat that just aren't, they have other negative health benefit or health effects, but prioritizing eating whole foods is going to get you the vitamins and minerals you need to keep your bones strong and just give you the energy to perform well. And then focusing on a plate method, which the standard is like half a plate of non-starchy vegetables, so like your broccoli, tomatoes, onions, stuff like that, and then a quarter starchy carbs, so rice, potatoes, squashes, and then a quarter protein and about a thumb of fat, of healthy fats, ideally. And by focusing on that, that's more of a maintenance plate. And we can adjust what that looks like to reach if an athlete has bulking goals or if they do have weight loss goals while maintaining their muscle and what they need to perform. So it sounds a little complicated, but if you really take a second to look at it, it's very easy to understand why and to have the visual of why like that's what we need and learning the benefits of it because then you're getting your whole foods, you're getting colors in for different vitamins and minerals, and you're getting the protein, which is super ideal for athletes. And then, so yeah, we can adjust those macronutrients to get them in the correct ratios. And we also want to look at the athlete as a whole, like I said earlier. So, with weight management, sleep is going to play a huge part, even your support system, lifestyle, and then your stressors. Obviously, they have stressors outside of the sport, and the sport may even be a stressor in itself. So that could affect your weight too, and let you keep you from shedding that extra body fat that you might want to get rid of. So if we work with you, want to look at the athlete as a whole human, not just exactly what they're eating. And then even I would say some athletes don't have, I think today with the select sports club, cheer competition teams, it's gotten to be where these kids are so wrapped up in their one sport that they aren't as versatile, or I guess the word, they don't have as great as athleticism because they aren't prioritized like strength training or even running goals, mainly strength training. I think that's probably the thing that's missing that can help them look a little better and gain with their muscle definition, and then and lose the body fat. Strength training is a huge thing with, I'm sure you know. And yeah, so I lost my train of thought, but
Yeah, that's a good.
don't want to, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to agree. Like, I think that as a society, and I think more girls than guys tend to shy away from strength training because we're afraid we're going to get bulky. And, traditionally cheerleaders, and I do think it's shifting. I think there are definitely more women who are more female athletes who are understanding that they need to be strong and they need to lift weights, and that lifting a heavy weight, and 2 times your body weight in a deadlift is awesome, as you work up to it. Like, I think there's a lot, but I think there's still room to grow. What I also really liked that you commented on about, you got to look at where you're at, because cheerleading has, we have a lot of, with co-ed. So um, across the board, doesn't matter, who you are, you got to look at what your goals are, so guys, you might be bulking to be able to to get stronger, but girls, you also need to lift and eat right to fuel your body. Both need to do that. And the plate system, I think, is a great way to be able to help them achieve both of that, because it's going to go in both ways, whether you're bulking or you're looking to maintenance and fueling your body right. So, because you
Yes.
can bulk up eating Chick-fil-A too, but you're not going to have the energy to then go toss, your flyer in the air. So,
Yeah, definitely. And then also by focus on like strength training, like you're talking about, it'll help, especially with cheer. It's a very powerful sport. Like you have to be explosive, and that can help with that too. And you're only going to build more muscle mass to, accelerate, throw the flyers up,
yeah,
like you said. So I think it's very important to look at the whole picture. And then also, it sounds overwhelming, but and when athletes, especially, they're dedicated, so they might throw themselves into all of this all at once, trying to fix every little problem all at once. So I think it's really important to just take a step back and focus on one thing at a time, simplify it to where you're almost like, really, this is all we're doing. But you want to focus on creating that habit and accomplishing it like 80% of the time. And that's where you'll see success, and you'll be able to build and continue to see progress for long-term results.
absolutely. But, I think so often we want to crash diet and crash, do things fast, and it's not good for your health, and it's not good for your energy. And chances are you're going to come back double where you were at, if you once you start to eat. So, taking your time doing and it's work. We all want fast results, but it's like our health is work, and we have to do the work to maintain that also.
Mhm.
What are you working on right now? Like, um, what programs are you working on? And
So, like I said, I'm a certified holistic nutrition coach. So, I'm just trying to put out content relating to that and work with athletes and regular people, obviously, accomplish their everyday goals. And then I'm studying to become a registered dietitian. And my goal is, once I get that license, is to focus on sports diet, like sports nutrition too, with athletes specifically. And then right now, I'm working on a course to really just help athletes learn the basics and foundational importance of nutrition, and just let them learn why it's so important for their goals and the holistic wellness, like I said, looking at the athlete as a whole, and just a general basic intro to all that. I also have a podcast called Healthy Roots coming out. So that's a work in progress right now that I'm really excited about. And that's about it.
that's great. I love, I think the course is going to, you're going to really help a lot of people be able to uh, focus in on, not just nutrition. I like the holistic approach. You've talked a lot, so often we think that having good nutrition means, eating and just eating. And, the stress in life factors into your overall health, sleep factors into overall health, exercise, and, so it's not just the food, but all of that. And I think it's important. And do you touch on water too? I think that's,
Oh yeah,
I think it falls into general nutrition, but
yeah.
you know,
And that'll change for athletes depending on their activity levels, how much they sweat, time of year. So that's another big thing
yeah,
and hydrating properly with electrolytes, not just water all the time. There's a lot that goes into it.
yeah. This is a question that we didn't discuss, but just quick. What's the difference between like a nutrition coach and a dietitian? Like, why are you going to school for a dietitian as opposed to just staying with a nutrition coach?
So a nutrition coach, they have the basic knowledge, but they don't necessarily know the science behind it. And well, they're really there to help you and guide you through the process, giving you the basic education when needed, and honestly, just hold your hand through the process and get you through those obstacles, working with you one-on-one. They don't necessarily have the tools to work with special populations, like if there are certain health concerns, you know, like diabetes, or even working with athletes that do have eating disorders. Like you want to get a professional opinion because there's a lot of stuff that goes into malnourishment and things like that. So a registered dietitian, they obviously have gone to school for a lot longer, and they have the licensing that's reputable across the nation and by state, different state licensures too. And they could probably just tell you more of the science behind it. That doesn't mean a nutrition coach is a bad thing. They definitely know what they're talking about, but when dealing with the nitty-gritty things. But that's why I'm want to get into that point so I can practice on my own and take on every single aspect, any complication there might be. And then also a lot of nutrition coaches, the program that they go through is likely, at least the one I've gone through, is ran by a team of dietitians. And so we have them as resources if we need to, and can refer our client to them or outsource them and get them the help that they need.
That's awesome. I think it's great that what you do is working both, putting both together.
Yes.
That's awesome. So
That is a
Kamryn,
con that people
what?
don't know about.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can people reach you? And where can they connect with you if they want to learn more?
So my main platform would probably be Instagram and Facebook now too. I kind of do the same thing on there, and it's both at Kamryn Brooks, and then I'm also on YouTube under the same name, and TikTok it's KC Brooks 39. I'm not as active on there, so yeah.
Cool.
Main source would be Instagram.
Perfect. And I'll put all that in the show notes. Is there anything else that you want to touch on today, or that you think that it's important for cheer athletes to know?
Just, don't stress too much about it. I know it's hard with a busy schedule, and do what you can. Don't give yourself some grace, and don't don't dwell on the little things too much, because it's just going to add to the stress. Just be you and do the little things.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
Let us know when your course comes out. I'm happy to, we'll definitely post that around and share that, because I think it's going to be really important. So, and all of the stuff that you got going on, it's really cool. So
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being with us today. And everybody, that wraps up today's episode of the Cheer Athlete. If you, be sure to go follow Kamryn on all the socials, and don't forget, when in doubt, breathe it out. Take life one step at a time. And like my friend Drew Kelleher said, you are responsible for your own vibes. So go get the day.